Hi guys, Darren from Venom Fluid Art.
We're Bubbles.
Bubbles again?
Absolutely, we're still doing our swipe techniques.
Okay, so this is part 3 of our swipe series.
It is.
How to learn how to swipe.
Absolutely, getting all them little tips and tricks that are going to help you make a zinger.
So hopefully you've watched part 1 and part 2. If you haven't, the playlist link will be in the description if I remember, because I've got a memory of a goldfish.
He really does, so Bubbles will remind him.
Yes, good girl. And you can go back and watch the 2 previous ones that it'll build up each week to doing different techniques with it.
Absolutely. So today is going to be the radial swipe night.
Oh, radials.
Or the spin swipe, as some people call it.
Cool.
So, what I'm going to do is, I've got a spun out pillow.
Yep.
We're going to start on a small tile.
Yep. So that's a small hex one.
Yep, so a little 4-inch one. So it's just cool because you don't have to use a lot of paint to get started out with.
That's right.
And just practice that technique. So I'm going to do some dobs first. I'm going to get thicker base like that.
Yep.
Because it really doesn't matter a great deal. The only thing it does matter is different ways of laying the paint, different effects through the cells.
Yes.
So sometimes with the bigger blobs, you get bigger cells as well.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you're really going for in your radial. Taffy. Had to use taffy. So, I love this colour too. It's Artist Loft.
It is.
Really nice colour. Reminds me a lot of the Southern Ocean blue I absolutely adore. It's a thicker one. I'll tell you what, it's cooler here today. When we were recording the other day, it was quite hot in here.
Yeah, topped out at 150.6, I think.
So the paint really didn't like it, and you'd do a swipe and go, hey, where's it going?
Yeah. Temperature makes a huge difference to the consistency of your paints.
Absolutely it does. So you can see today, this was running yesterday.
Yeah, it was like milk.
It was sort of like I felt like I had to run around the spinner to catch it. So I'm going to just start off something really simple, just like that. So you can see nothing really fancy in the way I laid the colours. I just did a few blobs on the bottom. And I got a thing for spirals. And you don't have to do spirals. You can more or less lay your paint as long as it sort of sits in that circle.
Yep.
Then you're good to go. So now I'm just going to use
a little palette knife.
Little one, handle's taken off, only because, and we say this quite a bit, you've got the 2 different types. So this one still has its handle. So I feel when I'm holding that up, I'm so much further away from the actual piece I'm trying to swipe on. So that judgment of swiping just feels a bit off to me, where this one, I feel nice and close. And it just feels like I've got that little bit more control when I'm moving it around the paint. And
absolutely.
I just think that's a really good tip for beginners especially. Just to give you a little bit more confidence as well.
You've got a lot more control over it when you're closer to the end of the palette knife.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do too is just show you. I've got my black CA down. And then I've put just a dob of white and a dob of gold, just to see what different effects you get through your cells. So now I'm just going to work my way so this piece here is more or less close to the centre of the actual circle. And I'm just going to have a slight little angle. Now this is where you're going to find it interesting, because me and Daz both spin different ways.
We do.
And I'm just walking the spinner around with my finger and keeping my hand in the exact same place. So now I'm going to bring it around the edge. And I'm going to stop there. Cool thing is when you run off the edge there like that.
You get the ghost cells.
Ghost cells! Really do rock my world. Anyone that knows me, I do that on purpose every time. So, if you find CA sometimes can be that little bit thicker in the middle, just give it a second. See if it's going to start to sink, because I can see tiny dots are starting to come through. But, if you want, you can always grab out your straw.
Speed the process up a little bit with a little blow.
And just go straight down. Don't go across on an angle like that, because if you do that, you're blowing the CA and the paint across the other ones you've already got that are really cool. You don't want to lose them. So see, just by going down.
Just little puffs.
That way we're not losing our big cool boulder cells we just picked up there. And let's give it a spin. So always take it one way. Remember to always bring it back, because that's what's going to balance them cells back up to keep their form. You just go one way, the paint's only going to be moving one way, and the cells are going over there, and you're going, no, come back. So go two ways, and if you can, hit the middle of the spinner. Because that's really helpful. See? Nowhere near it. Go bubbles. Every time I have this dilemma. But you watch Wombat when he comes up for his go. He's going to sit that in the middle of the spinner. First go, every go. Annoys the crapper out of me. I'll find it one day. It's definitely my unicorn, I tell you. Hey! That's the middle. Now I just got a pink blob in that. Must have come off my hand.
You did get a pink blob in that from your hand.
Got him.
Nice job. Bubbles.
So,
That's pretty.
I'm just going to get rid of our pesky bubbles. Not that I'm a pesky bubble. It's just the bubbles in the paint.
Right.
Alright. Yeah, see? That was George, by the way. Now you know why I say that George's paint that I leave on him is keeping him together. So you can see now, unhold it like that, no movement at all. And see the cool different effects just by putting that white drop of CA and that gold drop of CA, and then we've got our black. Just gives it something different, so it looks like the white spiraling from the inside out.
It's a very beachy looking radial swipe.
Yeah.
I
But
like
really easy to do. But biggest trick, just remember, keep that, start with you've got your colour puddle in the middle. So put this bit here sort of in the, closest to the middle as you can. Slide angle. Turn your spinner to do the work for you. As you're getting around, slowly drop that palette knife down a bit more so the rest of that CA is working its way around to the other side of the swipe. And hopefully you get a cool one. Always makes you smile at the end.
Absolutely.
So what we'll do, we'll pause here, and then our Wombat will come back and show you what he's going to teach you today.
Okie dokie.
And we're back.
Okie dokie. So, like in the previous videos, that's flat for your palette knife. What I like to do is tilt it up so you've got a little bit of an angle like that. So as it rotates, like that, it's up on an angle. Okay. So what I'm going to do with my one is I'm going to put a floating pillow so there's a lot more paint on there. And I'm doing it on a square, just so you can see the difference between the two. So what I'll do is put a load of paint on like that. Then what I usually do is go down into the corners, just so that the paint flows into the corners real easy. Grab my little finger and go.
And it is good to see too, because you may be going for certain effects where you only want the spun out pillow.
Yes.
And it can be the difference between a spun out pillow and a floaty pillow. What is easiest for you to get your results with?
Exactly. So what I'll do is run my finger along the edges just to wet the edges. And we'll start putting some colours down. So where Bubbles put hers down in little spirals, what I'm going to do is put blobs in certain places.
Now, is there a reason for them blobs, Mr. Wombat?
Well, you don't actually have to wiggle it and jiggle it and do it the way you did it.
I know, but it's fun to do spirals.
It is fun to do spirals, but there's 1,000,001 different ways you can put your colours down for these.
Absolutely.
To get different sort of designs and patterns as it spins out.
Changes the end result drastically, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So you put a blue blob here, a little blue blob there. Go with...
Being honest, you really love doing blobs, don't you?
I do like doing blobs, to be honest.
I was going to let you get away
Right,
with that.
and then I might just do a line across the middle. Why not? Alright, so that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to move that down into the middle like that. Going to grab my little palette knife. Put some black Selectivator on it, which is the Amsterdam Oxide Black mixed with Australian Floetrol, about 3:1. Alright, so I'll just put some on my little palette knife. Where Bubbles likes to start over here, I turn mine the opposite direction of what she does. I'm just more comfortable spinning it that way rather than going that way. So I'm over this side, she tends to go over this side. When she goes that way, I go over this way. Right, so I'm going to put mine down here. I'm keeping that little angle. I'm going to rotate round. I'm going to be left with a lot of Selectivator in the middle. So that's cool. Alright, now I'll just float that back to the middle a bit. Once again, if you get a dark puddle there, give it a minute or two, or grab your little straw, straight up and down. Just fluff the paint and you'll see the cells start to pop up. Then if you give it a light blow, you can actually embiggen them. You like that word? Embiggen.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, make them bigger.
And the thing is too, if you do find that you have to use the straw a few times, always make sure in between a few goes you give it a shake, just for any condensation inside. You don't want to splat the water back down, which I've done heaps.
Exactly.
And it does upset the paint.
So where you actually do your swipe, your cells are always going to be the biggest in the middle, because there's a lot of Selectivator on your swipe tool. So if there's a load of Selectivator there, you're going to get big bulbous cells. And as you spin that out, like rotate it, that Selectivator gets thinner and thinner because it's spread over a bigger area, which means you're only going to get little cells appear around the outside edges of it.
Which I think are really cool, them little ones in between colours.
They are, they're super cool.
Yep.
Now, because I've got a floating pillow on this one, when I spin it, you're going to get more of the center that spreads out and gives you bigger cells. So you should get nice little jumbos going on. And when you pop the bubbles, different coloured cells appear.
And it rocks my world. Sorry, that always excites me.
Right, so we pop the bubbles.
Look at them little pink ones that pop through
I
and
know,
yellow.
how cool is it?
Very. Sorry.
Right, so we're going to go for the middle of the spinner. Okay, so...
I got to remember it's a learning video, I get excited.
Give that a spin. Don't go nuts with it, otherwise you distort everything. Just let it spin, let it float and separate the way it should. Go back the other way.
Because the thing is, it's not a race.
No.
Take your time, enjoy what you're creating.
Exactly.
I always love when you're spinning and you stop and you just see what you've created, how it changes as you go. I reckon that's really cool every time.
So as that's spinning, that paint's flowing out sideways like that. All your cells in the middle are getting bigger and bigger as they stretch out. And you end up with something really cool like that. So because I laid my colours differently to what Bubbles did, you can see how you've got purple, blue, green, yellow, all separate, rather than having like peacock cells through it. If you tend to mix and match, like if Bubbles had made more colour in hers, you would have seen peacock cells appear, which I'll do in the next one actually.
Yeah.
So just by the way you lay your colours down makes a big difference to what colours you end up with at the end of it. It's like when you're using opaque colours compared to transparent colours. Your transparents, you tend to see through to the colour underneath, whereas an opaque one usually blocks out the colours underneath. So keep that in mind when you actually layer your colours. Alright, what we will do is, I'll just scrape the bottom off this, because you've got to clean its bum.
Yep, that's right. Nathan will be watching.
Yep, nobody likes a dirty bum. So,
there we go. Look at those big boulder cells.
nice big juicy cells.
And the mix of colours, isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it turned out pretty.
Beautiful.
Alright, we'll press pause here and step it up a size, I think.
Let's do some bigger ones.
Why not?
Alrighty then. Got my bigger round.
It is.
You ready to play?
So that one's 8-inch.
Yep.
Sprinkling colours.
Yep.
Nice.
See, I like to do just this bit here. So I'm doing my ring. Just to give me my swipe.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. There's a bubbles thing. You know, we all have them little personal preferences, don't we?
Absolutely.
That's a bit thicker.
I was going to say, that's a bit thick.
Well, that for a hunker chunker. All right, we'll show you how that works.
Bubbles didn't check the consistencies.
Does Bubbles ever?
No.
That would be no. I'm the worst for it. Happy to own it. So yeah, main reason I do a ring is so I know. Gives me a rough guide of what I'm putting my colour pool in. It's just for me to remember. You're doing a radial.
Yeah.
So all I'm really trying to do is just cover up All them little bits of white I can see coming through. Just to make sure I don't have really too many gaps in the colours what I like.
Less chance of getting white pillow to show through that way.
Exactly right. As you taught me. Like everything else. So you can see I'm just going for the gaps now. No special way of laying it down. I'm not doing my little rings that I do like.
Just wiggles and jiggles.
Just little wiggles and jiggles. I think we might. Now this one, I don't want it to take over everything. So I just want to...
That's right, gold really takes over.
Which is why I'm putting gold down. Just to show you that a little bit
Goes a long way.
goes a long way.
Now, as far as consistencies go with your paint, I recommend using the same consistency you would for a bloom. That way they're reasonably thick.
Yep.
It tends to hold your cells a lot better, and your colours don't mud when you do the swipes either.
Exactly.
You end up with separate colours rather than them mudding together.
A lot more true colour stays there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So this is my last colour, so I'm just looking for any leftover little gaps that I may have missed. I'm sort of hoping by laying my colours all like this, I'm going to get some rainbow cells. Hopefully. Alright.
Tube paints work really good for like rainbow cells.
Yes, so that is my tube paint, and the one I just binned is the second tube paint.
Yeah, say you use 5 different coloured tube paints.
Yep.
If you make one of them opaque and all the others transparent, you'll get a whole heap of little rainbow cells that pop up.
Which is super cool. I love them. Alright, so I just have my thin layer again, like you can see. No dripping. More than enough. If you're getting big drips, you have put way too much on. And only because way too much on, you going to get a lot of black puddles, which is upsetting.
Yes.
Alright, so bubbles way again.
Yep.
Slight angle, exactly the same as Wombat. And I'm just taking it around. There we go. I love the radial.
It's a great way for getting cells when you can't get cells.
Absolutely.
Radials tend to produce way more cells than any other type of technique, I think.
Oh, damn straight they do. And they are super cool.
And because you've added white as one of your CAs, you can see the different coloured white rings around certain cells.
And you know what? Bubbles can never do a radial with one colour CA. I'm hooked on mixing it up. I really am. And this CA we've done's a lot thicker too.
It is. Definitely takes a bit longer for it to do its thing, but it holds the cells together a lot better.
Yeah, it does.
It's just one of those patience things, which is really hard when you're doing a video with it too, because, I mean, you don't want to be staring at this for 5 minutes waiting for cell activator to do its thing.
You know, that's like, hey everyone, let's just stand around and watch that paintwork.
Yeah, I mean, I can speed it up, but it's better if you see things done in real time.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So, I'm going to leave it at that, because I think that's pretty cool.
I think that's absolutely adorable.
And I did get all my coloured cells I wanted. So, oh, bubbles. That's got it. Close or what?
It is. That's where the silicon mats from Fluid Art Co. So that's fluid-art.co.
Yep.
They have silicon mats that actually have a cross through it.
Yep.
With the rings all the way around so you can line up the centre. Obviously, as long as you've put the mat down in the centre of the spinner. Otherwise, it's still going to be out.
I reckon I'd still miss it.
Guaranteed.
Still turned out pretty cool, right?
Beautiful.
One more spin for luck.
That's
there
awesome.
We go.
See, and you get them ghost cells around here.
I love those.
Because you're putting cell activator over your white pillow paint.
Yep.
That's why you get ghost cells like that. There's no actual colour in it. It's just black cell activator over the top of a white pillow. Gives you ghost cells like that.
And I love how they just end up with a little hint of colour here and there.
Yeah.
As it goes into the darker. I'm a bit of a sucker for that.
But you'll see where the centre, you've got all the bigger cells, and as it moves out, as the cell activator's got thinner and thinner, you've got smaller cells all the way.
Absolutely. And you can see what I meant by the gold. You've got these nice little trails of gold, just a hint of it, and you still get to see your other colour. Where if the gold had been thicker,
yeah,
it really can just take over. So that way you're just getting a little bit of its elegance, but it's not taking over the whole piece for you. It's just sort of highlighting your cells with your other colours.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
So might tilt that in the camera to make it a little bit easier to see it. That's pretty.
I actually love those colours together. I haven't put them together yet.
That's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you, sir.
You are more than welcome. Alright, so we'll press pause here and I'll have another crack.
Beautiful.
Okie dokie.
A star.
We're going to do a star this time. But what I've done is I've spun out the pillow.
Yep.
Now, your pillow paint, you can use any colour you like if you really want to.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to stick with white. You can use black, blue, green, whatever floats your boat. Alright, so what I'm going to do is throw the purple down first, which is actually a tube paint by Montmartre.
It's a beautiful purple, isn't it?
Gorgeous pearl purple.
It's spectacular. But that's the thing too, you can half your pillow paint even, have half black, half white, half blue, half yellow.
Exactly, you can do split bases, whatever floats your boat.
Just depends on what effects you want at the end to go with your colours that you're putting on top.
That's right. So this time, I'm wiggling and jiggling my colours like you did.
Uh-huh.
But I'm only putting a little bit down because we're going to modify this one.
Cool.
Just gives you some other options for things you can do.
Absolutely.
You don't have to stick with just a basic radial. That's what makes these fun.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so we'll use black cell activator.
And that's like with any top technique. Your options are open. Take it where you want to go.
Exactly.
Play and be creative.
Alright, so we've got our cell activator on our little palette knife. I'm going to just do the same thing again. Keep it on an angle.
And just use your finger to walk the spinner around.
Yep, just walk the spinner around. I'm going to spread it out so far like that. And then what I'm going to do is tilt my palette knife. Just rotate it up like that. So we've got a nice round circle. So all I did was, as I went, all I did was tilt the palette knife up like that. That way we're left with a perfect circle.
And you're not still dragging your CA around.
Exactly. Grab a straw, give that center a bit of a blow. Straight up and down. So you just fluff them out.
Shake your straw.
Shake your straw.
Go in again.
If you've got an air bubble, if you blow on it, carbon dioxide pops the air bubble. Which is handy for people that don't use one of these little butane torches. If you give it a bit of a blow, your bubbles pop anyway. It's the carbon dioxide that does it. You can do the same thing when you're using resin too. Just blow on it and it pops the bubbles. Alright, so what we're going to do is grab a little skewer like this. Where's the camera? There we go. And what I'm going to do is just go around the outside edge. Just put a little pattern through it. Like that. Moving into the center, like so. What I usually do is, when I've done a radial, I'll put the radial dead smack center of my spinner. That way it spins out evenly.
Doesn't that purple pop?
It does.
Great tube paint.
So then, if you want, before you fully spin it right out, if you've got any little air bubbles that have popped up, you can either give them a poke like that, blow on them, or use a torch. Now if you're using a torch, don't hold it in one spot too long because it will burn the paint. And you get a skin that forms over the top, which you really don't want, because the next time you go to spin it out, that skin is dry and your paints won't move.
And you can get smoke like Bubbles did.
Bubbles does tend to get smoke. She gets a little carried away sometimes.
I like fire.
You do. So just put.
Actually, I just like it when you let me play with things like that, because it's not often. So I make the most of it.
We wonder why, Bubbles.
Yep.
Alright, so just add a few more little feature bits into it. Give that a bit more of a spin. Like that.
Isn't it beautiful? I love those colours together.
So we'll pop that one up.
Don't they complement each other? Look at that little bit of yellow there just popping out.
Yeah, just a little highlight of yellow popping through. But because of the way I laid those colours, you can see the cells have all different colours through them.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Love it. Absolutely love it.
So that just goes to show, you can do a basic radial and then add some feature to it by dragging your skewer through different places and things like that. It doesn't have to be only on a round. You can do it on squares, triangles, whatever shape you like. So,
except the butterfly wings.
Butterfly wings are hard because they're off-centered.
Exactly right. I had to pre-warn people about that one
Yes.
because I failed a few times there.
We actually have a video on that somewhere, but
For another day.
yeah, we'll do that another day. We might do it as a grand finale.
Absolutely.
Alright guys, hopefully that was some sort of help for you. Like I said before, there's another 2 videos previous to this. Just click on a playlist link that's in the description and you'll be able to see the other ones that we did before this one. If it was any help to you, please hit like, share and subscribe. Ring that notification bell.
Thanks, Tinker.
That way you get to see all our videos as we release them. And hopefully this helps, guys.
Absolutely, and if there's anything you're not sure of, just reach out and ask us. We're always happy to give advice and help where we can.
Absolutely. Okie dokie. That is it from us today. So have fun, take care, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Have a fantastic day, guys. Thanks for watching.